Welcome back, V.O.C. YouTube channel. Football's back. College football season is back in full. Figured I'd come back with the videos. I am college educated now, so I'm a smarter man. I'm a wiser man. New setup. Back home. Moved into my parents' basement. Blah, blah, blah. Chirp, chirp, chirp if you want. That's the life that we live. Yeah, back. Going to be doing videos. Going to be breaking down college football and NFL weekly. Try my best here. Still looking for a job too. Life is not easy. How many times do I have to say it? Life is not easy. Pretty much that's the life update. Like I said, back home, live with my parents. Weird feeling not going to school this fall. But you know what? Done with it. Moving on to the real world. I finally have to grow up in life. So let's jump into it. Like I said, breaking down college football this week. Look, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Not saying it's going to be super short, but I'm not going to sit here and bore you and try to make these hot, crazy predictions and look like an idiot on the internet. That's not fully what I want to do. I'm going to go through the top 25 AP preseason. I think the AP preseason to start off is dumb. I think when you pull this early, I think it's kind of dumb. I will then break down who I think will win each Power 5 conference. I will then say the 4 teams I think will be in the playoff, and then I'll break down this week's biggest games. That's what I'm going to do for this video. Now, what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to talk about every team right now, because that'd be a long-ass video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten. I'm going to make different videos. I'm going to shorten them. I'm going to put those on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, where I break down more teams and what I think they can do. Because clearly, if I sit here and talk about every team, that's going to be a boring video. And it's not going to be a fun video for everybody to do. But I'll break down the top 25 to start the season. Because football starts on Thursday. It started last week, but it was a boring last week. Why was I going to make a video, sit down and talk about all this as Georgia doesn't even play, or as Alabama doesn't play, Notre Dame doesn't play, Ohio State doesn't play. You know, the big schools, the best games don't start yet. What am I going to talk about? Northwestern, Nebraska, Florida State playing some FCS school. No. I'm not going to do that. So football starts this Thursday. So tell your wife, tell your girlfriend, tell your boyfriend, tell your husband to not talk to you, because you're going to be drinking, eating them chips, snacks, and you're going to be watching football. Life, as we know it, has started again, and we've been reborn. So, all right, like I said, first let me break down top 25 schools here. So the AP top 25 started out with Bama's 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Clemson 4, Notre Dame 5. Look, I think this is the easy consensus. I'm not going to be a dumbass and sit here and act like and try to do a Desmond Howard where I go crazy and against the grain and just try to be foolish just to get clicks. Look, Alabama's the best team coming into this season, without a doubt. Ohio State's the number 2 best team coming into this season, without a doubt. So it's not even a question of blah, 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 blah. You can't be crazy about these things. You have to be smart. And look, preseason polls, people hate them. But it gives you a basis of, okay, what to look at and what kind of view to view at. I heard a lot of talk Notre Dame's 2 out of 5. Yeah, I agree with it. But the offense is going to be better than people think. Marcus Freeman has momentum. So them at 5, and it just helps Ohio State out at the end of the day. That's basically why they're as high as they are. You know what I mean? Let me go through some outliers here that I think is kind of nuts, or teams that I'm not as high on as others. Utah, not super as high on as others. They're at 7. Oklahoma at 9, not as high on them. They have a new coach, new quarterback. Yeah, they still have talent. I think Brett Venables will be a good coach, but they just don't. Lincoln Riley's not there. I don't fully trust the quarterback. And I think the Big 12 can be better this year than what it has been in other years, so therefore it slips a little bit. Oregon at 11, little high. There's teams on here a little high. Look at USC at 14. I think towards the end of the year they'll be right up there. But right now, yeah, maybe a little early. Miami the same way. I think towards the end of the year with new coaching and Lincoln Riley at USC and Mario Cristobal at Miami, it's going to take them time, but they're good enough coaches that towards the end of the year, they're going to figure it out. Look at these other schools. I mean, it is what it is. Michigan State's sitting there at 15. Miami's 16. Michigan State's 15. Look, bring back a quarterback. Bring back your best wide receiver. You lose your best running back. You lose some defensive pieces. The Big Ten this year is better. And, you got lucky in some games. Look, I'll admit it. I'm not afraid to admit it. Went to school there. Got a degree from there. Not afraid to admit it. You got to be realistic with these things. So, do you take a step back from 11-2 last year? Possibly, right? So, for them to be as low as they are, makes sense to me. But this is where preseason polls, because it gets fans all pissed off. And realistically, what these preseason polls are done, and they're made to do, is for us to sit here and us to debate them, to talk about them, to make teams who have big games early, like an Ohio State, like a Georgia, who plays Oregon week 1, and Ohio State plays Notre Dame week 1. You give them a better win at the beginning of the year because they might not always, their schedule might get easier as the season goes on. So, it's great. Like, if Texas wins week 1, they play Bama week 2. Wouldn't be surprised if Texas moves into the top 25 just because of it, right? Just to give Alabama an Illinois. So that's what I'm not going to sit here and spend a lot of time on blah, 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 talking points, right? On the top 25 poll, it is what it is. All right. Now, this is where I think I'd kept it simple and easy, where I'll go through every Power 5 team, or every Power 5 conference. I'll say who I think is going to win, why I think they're going to win, and then I'll go through my playoffs. 4. So for the SEC, I think this is pretty easy. I think Alabama wins it. I think Alabama comes into the season the best team in the country. Nick Saban called last year a rebuilding year, and they won the SEC, and they made it to the national title game, and they could have very well won that game if their top 2 wide receivers hadn't been hurt. Some other things wouldn't have went their way. They had a chance to win it. And Nick Saban calls that a rebuilding year. Which I get it. If you're not winning the national championship in Nick Saban and Alabama's mind, then you didn't win anything. So I get all of that. Bryce Young comes back, like I said, Heisman Trophy winner. Will Anderson, who, Michigan fans are going to hate this. Hutchinson had a good year last year, great year last year for standards, but Will Anderson had a better year statistically, but just didn't get as much of the hype because he plays at Alabama. And basically they have a defensive player that pretty much does that shit every year. Hutchinson, it was Michigan's magical run, and he had a great year, but Will Anderson had way better stats than him. I thought Will Anderson was a better player. He's the best defense player last year. Michigan fans are going to sit here and say, I hate him. No, it's just the truth. And Hutchinson was a good player, but he was not Will Anderson in my opinion. So I think it's clear-cut Alabama, SEC champion. Not saying that they might not slip up in the regular season, because they very well can. But I think that they win it. It shows just how consistent Nick Saban really is. And I think it's just easy. Georgia's going to be good, but they lost a lot on defense. And I still don't trust their quarterback. Yeah, he won a national title. I still don't trust him. Okay, the guy's nickname is Mailman. That's the worst nickname ever. And he just, now that he's won something, and now that Kirby's won something, it's one of those where it's like, how hungry are you, and are you feeling yourself a little too much? And then the people out there with Texas A&M, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they had the number 1 recruiting class. Still not there yet. They're close, but still not there yet. All right, moving on to the Big Ten. Look, I think this is very easy. Ohio State, yet again. This is easy. They have the best offense in all of college football. They have, which will be an improved defense. Jim Knowles, am I saying that right? Yeah, Jim Knowles comes from Oklahoma State as their defense coordinator, who was a very good defense coordinator at Oklahoma State. Now he comes to Ohio State, better athletes. Ohio State's going to be much improved. They're pissed off from last year because they lost to Michigan. They have a chip on their shoulder. People all offseason saying that they're soft, they're weak, they're not strong up front. I think they're going to put all that to rest this season. C.J. Stroud, who I think is the Heisman favorite, I don't even know. Jackson Smith and Jigba, another Heisman favorite. Trayvon Henderson, running back, another Heisman favorite. They have wide receivers all over the place. Their offense is going to be scary. It's going to be tough to stop. And then their defense will still be good because, look, it's Ohio State. They've recruited well in defensive line. That's going to be much improved. They had no linebackers last year, much improved. Corners will be much improved. Everything will be much improved. I think that they're going to win the Big Ten, like Alabama, not saying that they might go undefeated. They might have a slip up here or there, but I think they're going to win it. To the Michigan fans that think you're going to win it, when you have a make-a-wish schedule, that happens. But you lost a lot as well on defense, and arguably you've lost one of the best players from the last 20 years of your program, so that's going to be tough. And then I think on the West, I don't think there's anybody that can match up with Ohio State. So therefore, I think Ohio State wins this conference very, I'm saying easily, but they won it in a way where a lot of their games, they're going to score a lot of points. Early in the season, they might give up a few points as they try to figure out the defense, but it's one of those things, as the molding comes around, they're going to be a very, very scary team. All right, on to the Big 12. Now, this is going to be the one where everybody's going to look at me and say, crazy, crazy. Texas. I'm all in on Texas this year. I've been all in on Texas, I think, every year, and they always disappoint. But I think Sark's the right guy. I think they finally have their quarterback, and they have weapons on offense. They were 5-7 last year in a lot of close games. Could have very well beat Oklahoma. They were dominating Oklahoma. Oklahoma made a quarterback switch, finally got the better quarterback to finally able to play. And look what happens. You win. So I think Texas is better. They have the best running back in college football in Bijan Robinson. Xavier Worthy, who was a freshman last year who made great plays, is now a sophomore. You have Quinn Ewers, who went to Ohio State, sat a year, transferred to Texas. He's from Texas high school. His number one recruit, fucking dropping my pen, number one recruit in college football a couple years ago. He just won the starting quarterback job. They have other great transfers from Alabama all over the place. They have depth all over the place. Their offense is going to be very scary. We look at the Big 12 and we say, this has always been an offensive league. And usually, great offense from what we've seen the last 10, 15, 20 years in the Big 12. That's why Lincoln Riley dominated. He had a great offense, decent defenses. I think that's what Texas is. For Oklahoma fans that are saying, blah, 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 why aren't we winning? Look, your coach is in his first year, and Sark's in his second. So I think that automatically gives them a leg up. I think their quarterback's better at Texas. I think they have better weapons at Texas. They have a better running back at Texas. Defense, we'll find out. Baylor, don't trust. I think Texas has the best quarterback, better running back, better wide receivers, better coach. You know, that's just where I'm at when I lean towards Texas for this pick. You can say I'm crazy. And Texas could win this thing. I think this is a wacky year for the Big 12, where I think Texas could win at 9-3, 10-2. You don't have to go 11-1, 12-0 to win the Big 12. All right, ACC. I think this is another easy one. Texas in the Big 12 is kind of the crazy one. Clemson. Look, Dabo is still Dabo. He's won multiple national titles. He's still a great coach. They still have great players down there. They have probably the best defensive line in all of college football on their team. And DJ Ungalale, whatever the hell his name is, it's like you just get shoved a bunch of words, a bunch of letters from the alphabet in your mouth, and you're trying to spit them out as fast as possible. That's what his name sounds like. He's in his second full year starting. If he's better, you would hope in his second year than he was his first. But if he's not, let me get this right. They have freshman Cade Klubnik. That's not how you spell it. Say it. Klubnik. I think it's Klubnik. Who's a freshman, a highly touted freshman. He's ready to play too. So I think Clemson's much improved. Schedule's favorable for them to kind of do it, dominate the ACC. I think Miami's not ready yet. They'll get there with Mario Cristobal. Florida State, I do not trust their coach. Pitt, NC State, Wake, they just don't have it and they're not ready yet. Clemson regains their power and shows just how well they really are compared to what they had been last year, which was an anomaly of a season. What were they last year? Clemson was 10-3, still won 10 games. So, in a disaster year, they still won 10 games. I think they come back, and I think they reclaim the ACC. That's just what I think. All right, on to the final Power 5 conference, the Pac-12. This one's tough. You saw earlier in the video. I shit on Utah a little bit. Don't believe in them. This is kind of another wild one. Not going totally, I'd say, against the grain. A lot of people are kind of making this pick. USC. Lincoln Riley to USC is huge for the sport. It's huge for USC. It's huge for the West Coast. USC, before they get to the Big Ten in a couple of years, they have time to really destroy the Pac-12, which is a terrible conference. Everybody knows that. It's like stealing candy from a baby. It's like tripping a grandma. It's like taking air out of a flat tire. It's easy to do. It's already happened. It's crazy. It's wicked. This is USC's time to build before they get to the Big Ten, but then also dominate the Pac-12. Now, what was their record last year? 4-8. Horrible. Terrible. Clay Helton, horrible coach. They didn't have the right players. They get Caleb Williams, transfer, who top 2-3 quarterback in college football. They get arguably the best wide receiver who won the Blitnikoff last year, Jordan Addison. Who just transfer. Travis Dye from Oregon. New and improved. The Pac-12 is kind of like the Big 12. Offense kind of rules it. If you have a better defense, you usually win it. But there's athletes. Lincoln Riley brings pretty much his entire staff from Oklahoma, so he knows what they like. They know what they like. Not saying Utah, they play Utah early in the regular season. Not saying Utah doesn't beat them early in the regular season. But if they play again in the Pac-12 championship game, I think USC wins it. Because by the time season goes on, their schedule's very easily too. So it'll be easy games to kind of try new things, new wrinkles, figure it out. Lincoln Riley already knows his quarterback. His quarterback already knows him. So that's a plus. But I think as the season rolls on, and as they continue to go down the road, they figure themselves out, and they get better and better to where 9-3, 10-2, 11-1, it could possibly happen. So that's what I think wins the Power 5. All right, this is what I think's in the playoffs. So basically, if you're thinking about what I did there, blah, 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 this is okay. So I think this is my 4 for the playoff. Bama, who's the SEC champ, Ohio State, Big Ten champ, Clemson, ACC champ, and then so I think 3 out of the 5 Power 5 conferences champs get in. The other 2 Power 5 conferences, I don't think that they're going to be necessarily at that 11-1, 12-0 to make the playoff. So I'm going to go with Georgia, who I think will only lose 1 game to Bama in the SEC championship game. So therefore, I think they'll be 4 or 3, however it works. But that's who I think is going to be in the playoff. I think to me this year it's kind of very standard and simple. So who's going to be in the playoff? It always happens at the beginning of the year where we go crazy and we think, and all this shit comes out and how we view it. But I think it's kind of clear who are the better teams this year and who has more depth and who has more talent. So therefore, I really need to shave this fucking mustache. Not shave it, but trim it. Like, Jesus Christ, this shit is out of control. I'm trying to make these videos. Fuck. As the season goes on and progresses, it's just how it happens. But I think it's clear to see who the better teams are and what can kind of happen. So that's my playoff pick. Like I said, not going crazy. I'm not trying to do stuff that's done, not that guy. All those people out there that do this now for sport. It's hot take. We got to think crazy. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be standard. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to think what I think and try to be as clear as possible. I can with it. The games of the week now. I think I have 7 games of the week. 7 from Thursday night to Monday night, which is the first inaugural Labor Day college football season starting. There's some good games. There's a lot of games where you have Michigan playing somebody horrible or all these other schools playing somebody horrible. But these are the games I think are the best to start out the season. Not a whole lot. So I'm going to pick these games. I did very well last year. I don't even remember my record. I think it was 60% or something on games picked last year. So let's see if I can do as good, if not better, this year. West Virginia at number 17, Pitt. Pitt is a 7.5-point favorite. Look, both teams have new quarterbacks. Pitt has a new offensive coordinator. They won the ACC last year. This is kind of the ex-USC quarterback matchup where JT Daniels is West Virginia quarterback. Keaton Slovis is the Pitt quarterback. It's the first time I think they've played in a long time, too. This is a big rivalry, I guess. I don't even understand clearly that rivalry, but I guess it's a big one, and they haven't played in a while. This is on Thursday night. This one's tough. Pitt lost their number one receiver. Blah, 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 blah. West Virginia's not as good. I'm going to take Pitt here in this game. The 7.5, though. I would probably just take Pitt outright because this one's a tough one. It's hard. It's tough. I got people texting me as I'm doing this. It's one of those things. I got to text this person back. I can't even fucking spell. All right, text that person. This is just a game where it's tough. 7.5, first game of the year. Pitt to win out more. Fuck it. I'll go Pitt to cover at 7.5. Dogs are going crazy upstairs. These videos are chaotic as they are anyways. All right, second game. This is also Thursday night. Big Ten. Starting out with some games where you play a Big Ten opponent. I'm not a too big fan of that. Penn State minus 3.5 at Purdue. I'm going to go Penn State here. I think this is an easy one. I think Penn State covers minus 3.5. These dogs. I mean, these videos are chaotic. What's going on with those dogs up there, man? Gosh, trying to work down here. What the hell? People walking in the house, dogs going crazy. You can never catch a fucking break here with these videos. Never. All right. Chaos aside. Penn State minus 3.5. I think they beat Purdue. I think Penn State's going to be very good this year. Now, very good is not win the Big Ten good, but very good. 9-3, 10-2. I think they have the pieces. They've recruited well the last few years. Their quarterback is playing like his 25th fucking year at Penn State, Sean Clifford. So I think they're much improved. I think they're better than what they were last year. And I think they get a win versus Purdue team who people are very high on in the West. It's Purdue. I'm not going to get all jacked up and go fiend mode or become the Incredible Hulk. Get all, chubbed up over Purdue. I think they lose first game. Number 11, Oregon versus number 3, Georgia. Georgia's a 17-point favorite. First game of the year. This one's being played in Atlanta. People are texting me. This is fantasy football stuff. It's crazy right now. My mind is I don't know what's going on. There's so much shit going on. These videos are chaotic. If you've never watched one of these videos, this is what chaos looks like in motion. I'm a king of chaos. I like it. But when I'm trying to see or make my picks, it's going nuts. For the first video, a lot going on. All right. Number 11, Oregon versus Georgia. I think Georgia wins. 17's a lot. Danny Lanning, don't even know. I probably just botched that name. Was Georgia's defensive coordinator. He's now Oregon's head coach. Bo Nix, somebody else. I know Bo Nix is out there at Georgia. I don't know at Oregon as the new quarterback. I don't know what he's going to fully look like. 17 points is a lot for game one against a guy that knows your team. I'd go Georgia to win it. To cover, not fully sure, but I'd go Georgia to win it. All right, 23 Cincinnati at 19 Arkansas. Arkansas is a 6-point favorite. I think this is an easy go with Arkansas to cover. Cincinnati made the playoffs last year, had a great season. They lost a lot. They lost their quarterback who had been their starter for 3 to 4 years. I do like Luke Fickell a lot. They lose a lot. Sauce Gardner's a big loss. They had a once-in-a-generational team for Cincinnati. And they took full advantage of that. Arkansas's quarterback comes back. I like their coach. I like some of the pieces they have. I'm going to Arkansas -6 to cover. All right, number 7, Utah, who's a 3-point favorite at Florida. I think it's a very interesting game, actually. Utah to play Florida. Who would have ever thought? The ex-Urban Meyer Bowl. This right here is kind of those games where it's 3 points, Florida sucked last year, have a new coach in Billy Napier, but a quarterback that's decent against Utah, who, is very good. Their quarterback rising. Their coach has been there forever. I'm going to go Utah to win it. I think it's close, but I think with the 3, I think Utah covers. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if this game, if the spread maybe moves a little bit closer to 2.5, 2, maybe to a push, just because Utah's good. Everybody likes Utah, but it's at Florida. It's kind of a difficult game. You don't really know how Utah's going to handle the SEC and playing there. It's a different game for Utah. They've never really played before. All right, number 5, Notre Dame at number 2, Ohio State. This is the biggest game of the weekend. Ohio State's a 17.5-point favorite. 17 point. They're a big favorite. I think, as a Notre Dame fan, I'll be as real as I can. Ohio State's going to win, but I don't know about the 17.5 points. Now, I'm all Ohio State in this. I think Notre Dame is going to have a good year. I think a good year is 9-3, 10-2. First year under Marcus Freeman. Going to Ohio State, a lot of pressure. New quarterback, Tyler Buchner, who I believe in, I think will be one of those surprise guys in college football. Good defense, but Notre Dame has problems. There's always had problems with cornerbacks, not fully secured on the cornerback position, going up against them great wide receivers. I think Notre Dame can be physical with Ohio State, which I think that will help them. I think it could be closer than what people think, but I think ultimately Ohio State wins it. Ohio State's going to score a lot, but I think Notre Dame can surprise some people, and maybe it's not as big as an ass kickery as in if Brian Kelly was the coach, because I think Marcus Freeman can motivate a little bit better, and he can make guys want to really understand the moment and to play in bigger situations. So therefore, if they covered, I wouldn't be shocked. And if they didn't cover and they got their doors blown off by 20 points, it wouldn't shock me either. But I think it's going to be a tough game to watch as a fan. And it's going to be one of those games where Notre Dame gets blown out. Same old Notre Dame shit we've heard for my 23 years on this earth. Going to be 23, 22. Let's not make myself older than I am. Or, look, Notre Dame's surprised, and they play closer. And Marcus Freeman builds off of that and grows throughout the season. Now, the last game, Florida State versus LSU. LSU's a 3-point favorite. I could really give 5 fucks about LSU and its life and their coach. They're dead to me as a program, but I still have to be in the middle. I still have to be, courteous and cautious and beloved to the feelings of LSU fans. This game's going to be playing in New Orleans. Florida State did play a game last week. I think that helped Florida State. But as much as I hate Brian Kelly, as much as he's dead to me, as much as I want to punch his fat face, I think he's a better coach than Florida State's coach. And I think that with the athletes LSU has, it's not that they've recruited terrible, they just didn't have a great stability and a coaching, that I think LSU wins this game. And with the 3 points, I think they cover. But I just think Florida State should have hired Deion Sanders. I've always thought that. And this game's tricky. Because Florida State played a game last week. They had 3 100-yard rushers. So that game could show them up. But look, hate Brian Kelly, but I know how good of a coach as he is, and I understand what he can actually do. So therefore, I think he wins the game, even though I want to punch his fucking fat face. But that's just me. Caleb Stevenson versus Brian Kelly boxing match. I'm down for it all day. Down for it, Brian. I live a mile away from you, Brian. Here on the lake. Let's do it. I don't care. You're dead to me anyways. I'm a scrapper. I'll tear you up. I still hate what you did. But non-subjective, I think LSU does win it. And I think it happens. So that's the first video. Like I said, I'm going to go through more teams and kind of what I think they're going to be and how they're going to do this year. With shorter videos, different type of videos. The videos I'm going to do edit-wise for these videos are going to be different too. I'm going to bring in more highlights. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Try to be goofy. Try to do different shit. I'm going to try to cuss less. May not happen, but I'll try it to please my mother. But it's going to happen. Maybe not. So that's the first video, college football. This video is probably longer than what I wanted it to be, but I ramble. I don't know. This is unscripted TV. I don't know what I'm talking about. But that is the first week, college football. College football is back in its full entirety. I think it's going to be a fun season. It's always college football. Weather's starting to feel, I can run through a brick wall. That's the video. Boom.